Hello and welcome to our virtual roundtable, the science behind the sound. We look forward to the day when we can all come together in person to truly experience what we're going to be talking about today, which is great sound. Today, consumers shop for smartphones based on different experiences, such as camera quality. We believe sound could be the next great battleground in mobile. Speakers today will discuss some of the biggest pain points consumers face when it comes to wireless sound. Our own James Chapman will explain how we are uniquely positioned to help our customers solve these problems with the introduction of Qualcomm Snapdragon Sound, our new experience-forward, end-to-end technology solution purpose-built to deliver amazing sound experiences within and across device ecosystems. We've also brought in audio experts from across industries to talk about why great sound experiences are important and what this means to them. Andre Stapleton, Global Head of Artist and Label Relations at Amazon Music, will tell us about Amazon's vision to provide consumers with access to millions of songs in Ultra HD quality via Amazon Music streaming service. And St. Panther, a talented producer, musician, singer, and rising Amazon artist, will share the story behind her creative process and why it's so important that her fans get to experience every detail of her music. Then, Jeff Neal, a renowned sound engineer and designer who has worked with bands like Metallica and the Black Keys, and also recorded movie soundtrack vocals for feature films including Frozen, will further explain the process of translating artists' vision into the studio master. Switching from music to gaming, Hot Jukes, a professional mobile gamer and commentator, will explain how great sound, in particular latency, is important to creating a competitive edge. So let's get started. Please welcome James Chapman. James, take it away.
Thanks, Don. More than anything today, sound matters. It matters when we're staying in touch with our family, with our friends, with our work colleagues. And it matters because we're listening to great music, we're playing games, and we're also watching great video content with great audio. But unfortunately, sound, wireless audio isn't perfect today. There are a number of pain points that consumers are still putting up with, and they really shouldn't have to. For example, they don't get high definition, high quality audio in all cases. They still have to put up with choppy audio, glitchy audio in bad RF environments. The audio-video sync isn't always what it should be, particularly difficult if you're trying to play one of those action games and the audio's lagging. The user experience isn't as good as it could be, and still people get concerned over battery life. The challenge for us is to get to perfect audio delivered wirelessly. So that's audio with fantastic quality, fantastic robustness, and fantastic latency. The sort of audio you get over a wire, but delivered wirelessly. And for this reason, we're announcing today Qualcomm's Snapdragon Sound. Now, Snapdragon Sound is a merger of a whole range of technologies and capabilities that Qualcomm brings to systems. There's our wonderful mobile platforms and all the technologies within them. There's the expertise we have in processing and connectivity with things like Bluetooth. And there's a whole range of audio and video technologies. Now, Snapdragon Sound is when we bring those things together and optimize them for a premium end-to-end audio experience. So what do I mean by optimizing? Well, we could just concentrate on the earbud. We could just concentrate on the phone. But that doesn't give us the best experience. Instead, what we're doing today with Snapdragon Sound is we're following your audio all the way from the phone, across the wireless interface, through to your eardrum in the earbud, and we're making sure that that experience is as optimal as it possibly can be. So we're delivering full, high-definition audio quality. We've optimized the performance in very difficult radio environments, so no more glitchy, no more choppy audio. we've really worked hard to drive the latency down so you no longer have the audio-video synchronization issues that you might have experienced in the past. We've worked hard to improve the overall usability and functionality of these buds, and as what we're known for in Qualcomm, which is super low power and long battery life. So just to dig in a little bit more, we've done a comparison of Qualcomm Snapdragon Sound versus a leading brand of phone and headset in the market. So as you can see, we're able to deliver twice the audio sample rate, 96 kilohertz sampled audio. That's a level which typically people use in studios to make sure you're really capturing the audio as the artist would like you to hear it. We're delivering twice the sample rate for voice. That's what we call super wideband voice. Now, the dirty secret in the industry is that the networks and your phones and your laptops can deal with super wideband voice, but the moment you send it wirelessly to a wireless headset, most cases it is dropped. So you get a flatter, less engaging, more tiring audio experience, which is particularly problematic given that we're all working from home and spending a lot of time on calls at the moment. And we get significantly lower latency, around 45% lower than the comparison we're making here today, which when we've measured a whole load of phones and earbuds is actually significantly lower than the majority. And that is less than 90 milliseconds end-to-end latency. That's from touching the screen on your phone to hearing the sound at your eardrum. And all this with fantastic robustness, optimized from the chips all the way up the software stack, with an ability to dynamically adjust to the environment. So not only are we giving you best quality, we're making sure we give you the absolute best experience depending on the use case, be it video watching or gaming, and also the environment you find yourself in. And again, all done to preserve that long battery life that we're known for at Qualcomm. Why are we in the perfect place to solve these problems? Well, just look at our position in the wireless audio space. It's a who's who of the audio brands, and we've been working with many of them for years. We know and understand audio. But also look at our position on mobile. If you look to something like the DxO Mark audio benchmark, we've got number 1 and 2 on the phone side. We're perfectly placed to be able to bring those two sets of knowledge together and make the whole experience optimized and very high quality for the consumer. Why now? Why is now the time that audio is important? Firstly, I think if you do go out at the moment, you'll see still a lot of people more and more wearing wireless earbuds. Wireless audio has gone from being a kind of a niche activity to something that everyone is demanding and everyone is using in anger every day. There's also a great desire for people to have good quality music. For too long in the industry, we've all put up with poor, compressed audio. We've done it because we couldn't get the bandwidth to the phone. We've done it because we couldn't get it to the earbuds. And we've kind of been, I guess, almost suckered into it. We're now accepting of it, but it doesn't have to be this way. We have 5G to the phone. We've got Wi-Fi 6 capability. And now we've got Snapdragon Sound. We can get true high-definition quality audio all the way from the content providers through to the earbuds. Now, the other thing that's happened recently is the evolution of gaming. 5G allows you to have cloud-based gaming platforms delivered to your mobile. Mobile is the future of gaming, and with it you need to experience great audio. Wireless audio with Snapdragon Sound is going to allow you to have that immersive, low latency gaming experience with your mobile game delivered over 5G. And lastly, of course, everyone's working from home, and I think probably will for the near and foreseeable future. It's really tiring to put up with bad audio. If you want to have a productive and a comfortable day, you need the best quality voice calls you can get. Again, Snapdragon Sound delivers that. So what do we bring to customers? Well, the differentiation of great audio quality, super low latency, and amazing robustness. If you think of our phone OEMs, they're getting a really good deal here. They get a pre-optimized platform with silicon to go in the phone and silicon to go in the headset. If you think of the audio OEMs, they're now able to deliver a superior and differentiated audio experience based on a wide range of phones in the Android ecosystem. And for consumers, they get perhaps the best deal. What they're getting is the experience you would normally associate with a vertically integrated system, but they get it with a massive choice of brands across phone and audio products. So bringing it together, just have a look at the range of products, the range of technologies we've had to work on within Qualcomm in order to bring this optimized experience. There's the mobile platforms, both the Snapdragon and the associated connectivity parts. There's a range of Bluetooth audio devices, acoustic codecs and acoustic amplifiers, and a whole range of technologies such as true wireless mirroring, such as our codecs, aptX Adaptive, and aptX Voice. And we're standing behind it. It's not good enough just to put the technology into the market and expect it to deliver good quality sound. Every product that carries the Snapdragon Sound brand will have been tested by us in a custom-built facility in Taiwan to really demonstrate and prove that it has best quality audio, best quality voice, low latency, and superb robustness. That's the promise of Snapdragon Sound. And consumers will know that they're getting Snapdragon Sound because they'll see it on their phone as they interact with the device, and they'll see it on the box and in the marketing materials associated with the device. It should be really easy for someone to walk into somewhere like Best Buy, pick up a phone, understand that it's got Snapdragon inside it, and then find that headset, the Snapdragon Sound headset, that's going to give them the best possible experience. Now, we're really pleased to be launching together with some supporting partners today. Xiaomi are producing some phones and some buds with Snapdragon Sound. Extremely pleasing to see such a sophisticated brand on board with Snapdragon Sound. And Audio-Technica, a very, very well-known and well-respected audio brand, again, on board with Snapdragon Sound. We're particularly excited to have Amazon Music here with us today, talking about how they're providing their customers with high-quality audio streaming with Amazon Music HD and our newly announced Snapdragon Sound playlist, which was designed to showcase high-quality audio. So that's Snapdragon Sound, a premium end-to-end optimized ecosystem delivering great audio quality, low latency and robustness. It's how sound should sound.
Thank you, James. It really is an incredibly exciting time for sound. And as we've seen from our annual State of Play survey, there is growing consumer interest in high-resolution audio, and we're pleased to have Andre Stapleton with us today to provide the Amazon perspective on audio and talk about Amazon's HD vision.
Oh, 'cause I keep digging myself down deeper. I won't stop till... When you first hear that mix, it's like, I never knew this song could sound so good.
You just hear stuff you've never heard before, and it kind of blows your mind.
You don't just hear the drum, bang. You hear the drum, bang.
I keep falling,
If you listen, the thunder is actually in tune with the D minor.
You can actually hear humming.
I'm laughing at myself playing the guitar, kind of showing off maybe a little bit.
When you can hear the song very clearly in HD, you can kind of appreciate the details of the recordings.
All these different layers and all these different sounds that maybe you would have missed.
Once you hear a song the way it was intended to be heard, a higher quality, then you just don't want to go back.
People have a chance to hear the real thing.
Why would you want to miss out on that? I keep digging myself down deeper. I won't stop till I get where you are.
Hi, my name's Andre Stapleton, and I am the Global Head of Artist and Label Relations for Amazon Music. And today I'm really excited to talk to you guys about Amazon Music HD, which is a new and super premium tier of subscription that we launched just over a year ago. So to give you a little bit of context as to why we got into this space, we have been thinking a lot and strategizing around where the next area of growth is going to come from in our streaming subscription business. And in reviewing that, one of the things we did was look a little bit at the past and the development of the streaming market to see how we've gotten to the mass market position that we're in today. And one of the things that we observed is that the development of the streaming market, which is really the most unbelievably convenient music service imaginable, it was basically predicated on again, convenience. So a lot of factors such as enabling the entire world and catalog and libraries of music that would fit on a device that sits inside your pocket, all available at a very low price. Really, those are factors to do with convenience. And in the evolution of getting there, when home internet networks weren't as fast, when the earlier versions of mobile phone networks were in a similar state of development, when devices themselves couldn't handle larger file sizes, one of the things that was necessary in the process from taking music from the artist's recording in the studio to the listener's ear was to basically chunk down and remove information from those sound recordings to make the files small enough that they could travel over the networks and down to listeners' ears. And so essentially what customers were being asked to do was to choose these very awesome music services, but in order to get the convenience, they were kind of having to choose convenience over quality. In our experience, if you ask people, would you like convenience and quality, they tend to say yes. And given that we were observing a number of very exciting market developments, such as devices that are scaling incredibly in terms of their capacity, both storage-wise and also in terms of their ability to play ultra-high-definition music, in terms of network speeds, in terms of the arrival of 5G networks, in terms of what we see at Amazon on the retail business in terms of sales of high-quality audio hardware, we saw an amazing opportunity, and the time was right really to revisit that quality and convenience choice. Really, the technical limitations of the past were no longer an issue, and so it was time to look at it again. And most of all, music is about inspiring passion and emotion and joy. And so it logically follows that if you're able to improve the quality of the music that's delivered, then we know that we're going to be improving the depth of connection that music fans and lovers of music feel to the music and sounds that they love. So this was a very exciting project for us, one that we think made a ton of strategic sense, but one that was also a real passion for us because we all love music so much. So just to tell you a little bit about Amazon Music, the service, we're a gigantic music service. Well over a year ago, we publicly announced over 55 million users, and we've grown significantly since then. And this is what our ecosystem looks like in terms of the tiers that we offer customers. It's kind of a pyramid structure, as you can see. So on at the lowest level there, you see Amazon Music Free. This is really an entry point, an ad-supported service, largely used by Echo Studio or Echo other Alexa devices as an out-of-the-box experience to have some kind of music that works on the device. We have Amazon Music Prime, which is a retail benefit. You get a collection of around 2 million songs if you're a Prime subscriber. And then out of both of those tiers, we are trying to move people to Amazon Music Unlimited, which is our premium subscription tier, which is equivalent to a number of the other mass market services. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was Amazon Music HD, which is our absolute pinnacle and peak offering, which is our high definition tier. Okay, so what do you get if you sign up for Amazon Music HD? Well, fundamentally, you get an extremely high quality music service. Remember that most streaming services in their standard, in their premium tiers, stream music at 320 kilobits per second. And the exciting thing about Amazon Music HD is what it really does is get you much, much closer to the quality of the sound as it was actually recorded in the studio. And we do that by maximizing the bit depth and the sample rate of the music files. Bit depth basically is the amount of information that you look at when taking a snapshot of the sound recording. And then sample rate is the number of times in a second that you take that snapshot. And so the higher that you go in bit depth and the more times that you take that snapshot, then it follows the richer the file will be. And that's really what the focus of Amazon Music HD is about. So what we offer inside this tier is 70 million tracks in HD quality. So that is, in old parlance, really CD quality, or 16-bit and 44.1 kilohertz. We have an additional more than 5 million tracks in Ultra HD, which goes from 24-bit 44.1 all the way up to 192 kilohertz, which is just insane quality. And all of this we deliver in a lossless manner using FLAC encoding. And that's something we're really proud about, is that in taking these very rich and high quality files and delivering them to the listener's ear, we're not actually losing anything at all in the transmission. So what the listener is hearing is exactly what the artist intended as they laid it down in the studio. And that's really what shines through and what makes the experience so rich. And then finally, we use something called adaptive bitrate streaming, which really is a layer of intelligence around the network, so that if you were consuming this music, if you were out up a mountain or in a remote area, and you didn't have good cell phone signal, or your network was otherwise impeded, then the service would adjust, if you want it to play a file that would make more sense, that be commensurate with the setting that you're in. You can toggle that on or off, but it just adds a very intelligent layer of functionality that fits your location. And I should mention also that all of this is available at a pretty killer price. So most streaming services are on the market are available at $9.99 for premium tier. Amazon Music HD is $14.99 for this ultra high def catalog and HD catalog and the 3D catalog. And if you subscribe to Amazon Prime, then you get a Prime benefit as well. So it's $12.99, which is just absolutely insanely great value for a product of this nature. So what we've been doing is working with the industry. Our label partners all over the world have been outstanding in supporting us with this initiative. What we're doing is working with them to set new standards in terms of the way that music is delivered to us and largely to the market. We've been encouraging investment in remastering classic albums into the very highest quality possible. And we've just had an amazing amount of support all the way across the business. And then just to call out in particular with Universal Music and with Warner Music Group, we've actually concluded a partnership in which they are remastering and redelivering certain amazing assets in their catalogs, which will live on Amazon Music exclusively, which is very exciting. And so you can see a snapshot here of some of those, just a very small selection. We have many, many more titles and many being added on an ongoing basis. But here you can see J. Cole, you got Nirvana, you got Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye, 2 Chainz, Janet Jackson, Lady Gaga, Ariana, Charles Mingus. It's a pretty amazing set of catalog that you can hear uniquely on Amazon Music in this incredible quality. Oh, and then can't leave you guys without giving some tips from what I'm listening to at the moment. And being a Brit, I wanted to pass on some music recommendations, most of which come from the UK. So what I wanted to do is just pass on some things that I've been listening to, which I've been particularly enjoying. And on the top there, you've got Ultra HD. So we're here. These are titles that are in just unbelievably rich quality that I've been drawn to of late. Excuse me. And then on the bottom, there are 3D albums. And so on the top, Arlo Parks, Bicep, and Celeste. What I'm finding with the highest quality releases is I'm really drawn into the depth of the music. You can the quality is you're just so much closer to the music. You can hear aspects of the vocals, maybe the breath of the singer. You can hear the twang of the string in certain places. I find that in the electronic releases in particular, just the music is so dynamic. And this is an album with really hauntingly beautiful melodies in a kind of an electronic sense all the way through. And you just the quality really draws you into it. Celeste is one which is kind of a neo soul title. And it's just such a beautiful and emotional album that, again, having that expressed in higher quality, it draws you in, it heightens the emotional sense of the record. And Arlo is a really exciting artist. She's a new artist that we really believe in, and we're working with extensively to try to do what we can to support her in her career. And in her case, the lyrics are a really key piece of her music. And again, having that quality brings you in, enhances the proximity to that listening experience. Finally, just want to emphasize how excited we are about this space. Honestly, we think it's the future of music. We're extremely excited by the growth that we've seen already, by the reaction that music fans and artists are having to this. And also we see this as there's a real benefit for us as a music brand. There is a halo benefit from being the leaders and pioneering in the high def space. And so this is an area that we're absolutely committed to and are investing in for the future. A couple of examples. We recently did a big mass ads campaign. The picture here on the left of the slide is a screenshot from that. And that was a campaign, multinational ad campaign, in which we were really trying to emphasize the passion and the emotional qualities of the music that come out when the quality of the files is richer. And we feel that's a message that really lands with people. And then on the right-hand side, you can see this is a mock-up, but this is the kind of exposure that we will give to artists who are working with us around the HD side. Here you can see Dua Lipa, and this is a mock-up of what the out-of-home hoarding can look like in Times Square when we work with artists in this manner. And we're doing that all the time. By the way, one of the artist partnerships that we have that we're very excited for you to discover is with Sun Panther, who has recently recorded a track that you're going to hear today, I think. And we're really excited for you to do so. And you can also discover it afterwards on the Snapdragon Sound playlist. And we really hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, Andre. At Qualcomm, we're focused on making sure the technology and robust ecosystem is in place to help listeners really take advantage of what Amazon Music has to offer. When talents like Saint Panther and Jeff Neal, our next two commentators, put so much of themselves into creating and recording music, it's really important that we get to hear it exactly as they intended. And that hasn't always been possible, but Amazon Music is helping to change that. Up first, I'm delighted to welcome Saint Panther, who will share with us exactly what it means for an artist to know that listeners will have the opportunity to hear their music just as it was recorded in studio, and why she's excited her fans will be able to hear her music wirelessly anywhere in much better quality coming soon.
Hi, I'm Miss P and I'm in my house. Welcome. This is where I make all the music that you hear in your headphones, in your wireless, and we're gonna get into some of that today. I got into music when I was a little kid. I was listening to a lot of like the Disney soundtracks, and that was like the home of me hearing and learning music for the first time. And allegedly when I was 3, I sounded out Circle of Life on the piano, or like the starting melody to that, and that's what kind of like triggered my brain and ear for sound. Yeah, the story behind Saint Panther was when I was younger, my dad used to call me Little Panther all the time, and that evolved when I was in the studio one day with a friend. We were just recording music, and I was just doing some errands for him, and he was like, "You're a saint, you know what? You're a Saint Panther." And we look at each other and we're like, as like seniors in high school do, you know, you think you just came up with the most revolutionary thing ever. And we stuck with that, and I've had that name ever since. A lot of the inspiration for my stuff comes from just what I'm emotionally feeling at the time. Like, obviously, you know, if a day is heavier, you're kind of sitting and writing more somber music, or if you're just waking up early in the morning, I start with like high beat things and things that are kind of more like upbeat and engaging, you know? It's just different parts of the day also source different inspiration. I heard something really early on that it's not art if it doesn't stem from an emotion, so I think usually that's where I'm pulling from. But in terms of artists, I've always kind of leaned towards, you know, antique, vintage, obviously inspiration, so I pull from anywhere. I mean, I was listening to Aretha Franklin this morning, all morning, and different eras of her music, and I love stuff like Stevie Wonder, early Prince era stuff, like Musicology. I love stuff out of that album. So I mean, I hop around a lot, but yeah, you know, we pull it from also modern artists too, and you know, we just kind of try to evolve the things we naturally gravitate towards with, you know, new sounds that we're finding and how to kind of push music a little bit farther. Technology is a huge part, actually, of how I make music. I feel like it starts at the root. Like a lot of writing that I do will just start on one instrument, and then immediately I'll take that idea and kind of guide it through software. So right now I have Ableton up. This song in particular started with just a guitar framework, so I had this playing. And on that, yeah, I didn't even add anything to that, so. With bass, it comes in kind of quiet, so Technology steps in and adds chorus and a compressor that kind of ups the volume. Then I start bringing in stuff like the drums. So all of this, the drums, the program drums are done. I literally use my keyboard and mouse to framework things, and I also use just random MIDI instruments that'll kind of like help the situation. But it brings everything together to kind of sound something like this.
Yeah, I'm my favorite stranger from when I didn't have shit. Now I have it all wondering how that happened. Living all the things where the love was lacking. If I ever see your face again,
so with this song in particular, I kind of wanted it to feel like an oldie, but still have some ear candies that are modern to us. So it sounded like the shell of it was. Sounds like it could be, you know, an older soul record. But then the ear candies that I like to throw in are usually like percussion. I'll do programmed drums, so it'll sound a little bit like this. But the real ear candy for me was this tiny little bell. And yeah, where I start adding more effects is where I start visiting the vocals. Like for this, I love a plugin called Sound Toys where I add echo and chorus and a few elements that kind of just up the voice a little bit. But then for the second verse, I kind of take all of that out because I kind of want the original shell of the song just like kind of straight to mic audio, a little bit closer down here. So I take everything out of my voice and I'll just leave it alone, and it kind of stands alone like this.
back it up, 'cause I want my baby. I just don't want to get so up, no. I wake up like I could.
And then later down in the verse, I kind of just hop back to effects. So there's just moments where I'm engaging effects, I'm taking them out, I'm leaving space in the instrumentation, the overall arrangement that kind of keeps you searching for what's going to happen next in the song. So with this, I visited a lot of it, whether it was like the percussion or just overall effects on like instruments or my vocals. And I just usually, just continue exploring music that way. And with this one, I did a lot of that. So I feel like technology is definitely progressing to give us live music experiences in different ways, and especially with the context of being inside, I feel like we're definitely progressing in creating those experiences. And wireless is a very interesting experience to me. I started getting into like instruments that are wireless as well and kind of motion based, and I think stuff like that we can take with us outside while we're jogging, whether we're like in an Uber, whatever we're doing outdoors can also be experienced, to that high caliber of listening wherever we're at. So I'm excited about it. I think, listeners' relationship to music is really evolving in that context where the more it feels like you're in the studio and in the exact sound that it was recorded in, to that level, hearing it in studio quality and being able to take that with you definitely evolves your relationship to music. 'Cause for us, while we're creating it, that definitely creates an instant tie and you're fully engaged, with the sound. So I think that is a very exciting technology to be able to explore for the listeners so they kind of, are just as engaged as the artist. I used to think that sound quality was really subjective to the song, and I still kind of believe that, but I do believe we've entered an era where if you can hear music in its highest fidelity, why not? And that, I think, you can still capture those same textural experiences, and just heightening it with technology kind of gives you even more of that experience. So I think just marrying those types of technologies together is really exciting.
Thank you, St. Panther, for sharing your creative process and passion with us today. Aside from artists themselves, one of the most important people in the recording studio is the sound engineer. They ultimately make decisions on clarity and quality of the music. We're super excited to have Jeff Neal with us today to tell us a little bit more about the process behind actually engineering sound.
Hi, my name is Jeff Neal. I'm a recording and mixing engineer based in Los Angeles. I first got interested in music when I started playing guitar around age 12, and that became a very severe habit, which forced me to play in bands. Eventually, I ended up moving to Los Angeles to do the cliche guitar player move. I became more interested in actually recording the bands I was in than playing guitar in the bands I was in. So I got the recording bug and went to recording school in Hollywood. Some of the artists that I've worked with in my career have been Nine Inch Nails, Black Keys, Metallica, Motorhead, John Legend, Sarah Bareilles, Alanis Morissette. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. Every artist works differently. Most of those artists work in high resolution audio. That's sort of the standard now. So most songs nowadays are recorded in high resolution audio, basically at 9624, which is a sample rate of 96K and a bit depth of 24 bits. What that can do is basically expand what the digital information can process and convey to the listener. So it's normally lost when something's downgraded from HD to either standard audio or an MP3 is usually, as far as the common listener, will be the high highs, the real, the shine, the sparkle, and then obviously the tightness of the low end. But I think the most overlooked thing is actually bit depth, which is the different levels of amplitude that can be represented in an audio file. So when you downgrade to an MP3, you're really losing the dynamics of a performance and a dynamic of how that audio was recorded. I think echo and just basically size and depth of where something was recorded can really suffer in standard definition and in MP3 audio. Obviously, a lot of more kind of dense recordings have a lot of little things going on, and they can be more of a vibe in a standard definition, where if you're in headphones with HD audio, you can really hear why they put that there or what they were trying to convey. As far as the actual recording process, you can usually take a day or 2 days, depending kind of on the style of music. A lot of times, if you're recording an album, the first song will often get recorded again at the end because everyone's a little rusty. They kind of haven't found the formula for what works with the band. So they'll give it another shot at the end, and that's usually what makes the record. But the recording can take 1 to a couple days. Then it goes to the mixing process, and that usually takes about a day, depending on how responsive the band is. If you're working with bigger bands, usually it's, the singer has notes, the guitar player has notes, the drummer has notes, and they're usually just turn them up. So mixers have to be very judicious and diplomatic about how they choose to rectify their suggestions from the band members. And that's where high res comes in handy again, because you can carve out space in the frequency spectrum for maybe battling instruments, like a low kick drum and a bass often occupy the same sonic real estate. So you might need to boost high end in one and cut mids out of another, so you might not have to change the volume, but they'll cut through to the listener. The last step in the process of making a song is usually the mastering process. And that is when the mixer is done, all the multi-track files have been summed through a console usually, or in the computer now, more likely these days, into a stereo file. That file then goes to a mastering engineer, and if it's an album, say 10 files, he levels out all the volumes. The great thing about mastering is to have another pair of ears sort of on listening to see what you might have been ignoring, or maybe your listening environment wasn't true, so you weren't hearing certain things. So he might hear harshness in the vocal, or it might sound kind of woolly or boomy, and he can sort of fine tune and put the final sheen. I think when an artist is sort of forming the picture of how they want their record to sound, they become very biased because they have a, you know, it's got to be a certain way, and they will choose the producer based on what they've done. So it's sort of a on track because they can have a reference, and then that producer will choose an engineer. That engineer and the producer will probably choose a studio based on the talks they've had of how they want the record to sound. And again, that goes to how the room sounds, what kind of desk or console they have in there, what kind of gear. Not to mention, so then there's players. So all this detail goes into, you might spend 3 hours, or some people have spent days, getting a drum sound right, because the drum sound can be a huge part of just the overall sound of the record. So a lot of bands are very meticulous about this. A lot of producers are very meticulous, and obviously engineers, probably more than the artist. But a lot of artists are, especially because now more and more artists are actually doing their own engineering. But basically the amount of effort and detail that goes into every specific sound really can get lost in when you start downgrading audio. And it's sort of, I guess I would compare it like to a painter having his artwork hung in a poorly lit museum. Like it's you wouldn't want to go to a poorly lit museum, and sort of that's like listening to an MP3 that doesn't convey at all the hard work and the decisions that went in to create a representation of what at the beginning that artist just had in their head. The good thing about HD services is that the least amount of change happens to their original vision. So if you're listening on your phone speaker, if you're listening on earbuds, if you're listening on a Bluetooth speaker, the last link in the chain would be the Bluetooth signal, and then the quality of the earbuds or speaker. So yeah, it's a lot of work goes into the most minute details that you wouldn't imagine. You know, you'll go through so many pieces of gear for something that really the average listener might not catch, but they would miss if it wasn't there, sort of thing. So there's a lot of little sounds. So many times you hear, like, you're not supposed to hear it, you're just supposed to feel it. And that's very sort of kind of make it sound blue sort of vibe, but they're there. They're all over records, and if you take them out, a lot of the characteristics of why you love that record is gone. It's very important, I think, that we listen to it the way it was created.
Thank you, Jeff. You have helped create some amazing music with some awesome artists and bands. Our final speaker takes us in a different direction, gaming. Let's hear what Hot Jukes has to say about the importance of sound and latency to the gamer.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Rick Castillo, aka Hot Jukes, and I am a professional mobile gamer. Don't pause. Press play.
So Jukes, what are your tips for dealing with a circle like this? Because it can be very, very difficult sometimes.
Yeah, well, my main tip is don't die. So what is a mobile gamer? Well, I'll tell you one thing. It is not me running on a treadmill while playing on a PC. Insert clip of me running, right? Heck no. What it actually means is a gamer that actually plays games on a mobile handheld device. And that's exactly what I do and have been doing full time now for almost 3 years. How I got my start in this whole world, honestly, is pretty insane. Prior to this, I was just a farmer here in Texas. And one day I was walking around my local farmer's market and a buddy of mine was like, bro, dude, you gotta try out this new game. It's called PUBG Mobile. Download it on your phone right now. So one day I was just sitting around and I said, what the heck? Let's download it and give it a shot. When I tell you that I was hooked, I mean hooked. The gameplay was so smooth and it felt like it required even more of my attention due to the fact of a smaller form factor. The level of reaction time that I needed was just at the level, if not higher, than any competitive PC game I played in the past. If you're watching this right now and just happen to be really behind the 8 ball when it comes to mobile gaming, or just don't believe just how big this industry is, I highly recommend you do a quick Google search because that'll have all the data that you need. Out of all that though, the number that really sticks out to me is the number 48. And the reason why that number sticks out to me so much is because it is estimated that last year in 2020, and this is also during the pandemic, out of all the revenue that was made in gaming, period, mobile gaming ended up making up for 48% of that total. And that's across all platforms. That is more than double than that of PC. So for someone who has seen the industry grow firsthand, has also looked at the data very closely, it's really easy for me to say that mobile gaming is the future and it's here to stay, without a doubt. And that's why I'm so excited when Qualcomm approached me and asked me, Jukes, what do you feel is the biggest issue that mobile gamers are facing right now, tech-wise? And for me, with all my experience, I don't even have to think about it. The answer is audio, hands down. Especially when playing a game like PUBG Mobile, which is one of the biggest mobile games on the planet, or any FPS shooter, as a matter of fact. And it hurts my soul to think that if one of these players was able to hear an enemy's footsteps just a hair bit faster, they would have been able to get that turn, get that kill, and their dreams would have come true. And when I mean just a hair bit faster, I'm talking milliseconds here. That is the level of competition that these players play at. Their reaction times, average reaction time of an esports player is around 200 to 300 milliseconds. That is on par of an F1 driver. And I am not playing around when I'm talking that if you have an audio delay of around 200 milliseconds plus, by the way, that's 0.2 seconds, it is extremely noticeable in game, even if you're somebody who just started playing it. Now, I feel that mobile gamers are dealing with more audio issues than gamers of any other platform right now. And the reason why that is, if you happen to go into your pocket right now and pull out your latest flagship device, I think you will notice that a lot of these devices have been more optimized for media consumption rather than gaming. And the biggest telltale sign for that is that if you look on that phone, it's most likely not going to have a headphone jack. 3.5 millimeter ports are gone these days. And as much as I, along with all the other mobile gamers out there, would love to join on the wireless train, it is just not going to happen if there is an audio delay by any means. It has to be completely indistinguishable from real time. And anything less than that is unusable. So that has forced myself and pretty much all other mobile gamers to join the adapter train. And I gotta tell you what, it ain't a great train to be on. And another issue on top of that is I've tested pretty much almost every latest flagship device, and I definitely see some OEMs adding some different audio features meant to enhance the sound. And I definitely think these are more intended for people watching movies or listening to music on their device. I could definitely notice that they're trying to attempt for a more surround sound experience. Well, that'd be great for those media outlets. Unfortunately, it is just not good for gaming. There's a lot of times when you're having to distinguish that enemy's footsteps, you have to be able to tell exactly where they are, pinpoint their location without any doubt how many meters they are behind. Well, if you have that feature enabled, sometimes it kind of wraps the audio a little bit more, and it makes it so difficult to tell exactly where that player is, to the point to where I have actually given feedback to OEMs and saying, hey, you need to put an option in here to disable that feature because it is so difficult to hear the game sound the way it's intended to be heard. For me, my dream when it comes to the future of audio, when it comes to mobile gaming, and that's really why I'm here talking, is I want to do anything I possibly can to progress the mobile gaming scene in any way I can possible. And my dream when it comes to this is I love mobile gaming due to the fact that it is so mobile. I mean, I've played in $100,000 tournaments while sitting inside of a restaurant. So like my dream would to be able to have a wireless option with no latency, completely indistinguishable, that also just sounded exactly the way the game intended the audio to sound. If that could happen, that could be a game. That's a game changer. So Qualcomm, please. I've had enough of adapters, okay? I think I speak for all mobile gamers when I say that if you could come up with a solution for this problem, I know that we will all be forever grateful.
Thank you, Hot Jukes. And thanks to all of our speakers for joining us today. We are excited about Snapdragon Sound, so please watch for more announcements over the next few months. And we look forward to the day when we can bring you all together to experience how sound should sound in person.